In general, my conclusion about Russian prisoners of war is this. Those who fight there for money, that's one thing. None of them have a conscience. They definitely don't feel it there. That's for sure. It simply doesn't exist there. It wasn't instilled in them from childhood. It just wasn't instilled. But most of all, we are not seen by people from the occupied territories who look at us with those eyes filled like that. And on top of that, you still owe them, you see? They were with us, but you still have to owe them something. They're ready to tear you apart if it weren't happening on the territory of the colony, for example. And the third group who asked to be relocated away from these Russians because the Russians offer intimate services to their own people for nothing, just for the sake of it. These are contract soldiers at the front, they abuse the convicts, but then the convicts start imposing their own rules on the contract soldiers. And so it seems like no one, they force them to follow these prison codes, but they still introduce their own rules anyway. The overseer, the petuk, outcast, all these bunks, prison beds. You understand? And I saw this, and one airborne reconnaissance guy, a boxer, came to me and said, please, move me to another place in the barracks. He didn't admit for a long time that they had given him halva, prison slang for being marked as an outcast. And those same guys, they didn't understand why he complained about them. Because as far as they were concerned, they had done it honestly. They just offered him halva. You see, I'm saying that a reconnaissance guy can't even stand up for himself. And yet you're fighting for this Russia, for this whole contingent, so that there's no future. Well, let's wish you a good journey.
So after you went through all that, like over there, so just hypothetically, what do you think is our main difference from them? Because, well, this is actually directly related to another question. What was your first impression upon returning to Ukraine, even though, so it turns out, how long? 2 years already?
But I was still afraid, I was scared, not steady on my feet. And then my legs gave out the next day. When I saw my family, I was just overwhelmed by fear. How am I going to feed my family? And what if it all starts again tomorrow? It felt like I couldn't do anything, couldn't walk, felt so vulnerable. Where to go, what to do, should I go back home, or look for a new place to live? And the second question, once again,
So, I mean, what is it?
what's the difference?
Yeah, what's the difference?
I said that the difference is that they don't see the divine spark in a person. They just see the body, the arms and legs, the flesh, the head. They don't attach any importance to the uniqueness that every person has. Secondly, we really are creators by nature. Even when we were in captivity, we all wanted to do something. Everyone was looking for something to read, Tatiana. People wanted to use their hands to make things, to do something. They are destroyers. Probably, after all, their horde left its genetics behind in its time. You can't just plug up genes with your finger. And even when we move from house to house, we manage to observe things. I noticed that at our homes, around the house, everything is planted so beautifully. But at their homes, the grass is just mowed. Not only is it mowed, but there's nothing at all near the house. If there's a garden or something, it's somewhere else. But it's not on this territory, on the border with Ukraine, but there.
But in the heartland, when you travel through it,
There's nothing there. I say it this way because today they're here, tomorrow they're somewhere else, the day after tomorrow somewhere else again. They just don't have it in them, not even genetically, to settle down and make a place their own, you know? We, on the other hand, we're all about our homes. Everyone brings everything into the house. Everything is for the home. Everyone wants to plant something. Everyone wants things to look nice. Another thing that's very important, something I noticed, back in Russia, I used to get beaten for keeping things clean. They used to say I had the cleanest cell, the Eurolux cell, and you have to pay for luxury. I think this is the first time I've heard men complain about things being too clean. That was really strange to me too.
although I think in Donskoy, they praised you. They said that you and Anulya with Zavadsky had the cleanest cell.
Yes, they said it was the cleanest cell, a Eurolux cell, but you have to pay for luxury. They didn't beat us for having the cleanest cell. It's a nightmare. As I said, and I write about this in my books too, honestly, I just don't get it. I don't understand why men don't like it when things are clean. This is the first place where I've been beaten up for cleanliness. That's the difference. The difference is, as I said, there's no critical thinking. They're not capable of processing information. They have a fixed mindset. This is right, that is wrong. And there's no cause and effect relationship. For example, he knows that a shell will be fired, but the fact that it will fall and kill more children, not Bandera, he denies that. He knows he's hitting, but when you say you're falling, he acts genuinely surprised that you're falling. Well, it hurts. Like, why does it hurt you? There was no command to feel pain. He can't even comprehend that this could be the case. Really, he just can't wrap his head around it. And that's why I couldn't take offense myself. Maybe it's just my nature, but I think, who can you be offended by if intellect of a paramecium, a slipper, and a person doesn't even understand their own actions for the most part, really, just like a robot. The third thing that made me uneasy was when one of the older guys, Virtu High, and he was already of a certain age, a local, after 3 weeks, was marrying off his daughter to a non-local from Omsk. Well, I mean marrying off as in selling her. He was marrying her off and this non-local guy too. He was telling the story saying, I bought her a beer, I took her to the city, she was gone for an hour, I went to the bathroom and she was providing personal services to 2 guys at once. And the father didn't stand up for his daughter. What struck me at that moment was that he started saying, what's there to be surprised about? My wife is like that, her mother is the same. The father about his own daughter. And I was standing in solitary confinement, and I honestly felt ashamed for both of them. I was so embarrassed, I thought, how is this possible? Right in front of me, they know, I can hear them, they know the 8th cell can hear, the 2nd solitary, the 3rd. And I thought, maybe this just isn't really accepted where we're from. But for them, with these women, it's just, well, something like that, women. The nurses hand out pills, diuretics, 9 pills a day, 3 times 3 pills. They gave them to me too, and it was quite a pile. 2 round ones, 1 yellow. All sorts of things. Whatever they had, they wrote it off to me. These are diuretic pills. I know they're poisoning me. I know why they're doing it. I know they're washing the calcium out of my heart. I know I get cramps. My finger joints cramp up from all of this. Still, I say, thank you, ma'am, doctor, showing our good manners. Still, I don't try to, like, hey, shut your mouth or anything like that. And they close the food hatch, and at that moment, a guard goes, hey, you slut whore, swearing at her. And she just laughs. And you see, that's the difference. They're not even used to being treated decently, even by a woman. They're used to being treated with a kind of contempt, with humiliation. Maybe it's not like that in Moscow or St. Petersburg, but in these provincial towns, that's how it is. And for me, that was a revelation. I swear, I didn't know the difference between us was that big. It's not like I feel any hatred or anything like that because of it now. No. That's what was happening, and for me it was a revelation. That's where I got to know that Russia. Really got to know it. Because when I watched competitions, I never saw anything even close to that.
Listen, I have another question. At the very beginning of the book, when you were talking to the general, remember he asked you, how far is it there to...
Lieutenant Poplavsky, he was already suspicious, yes, the lieutenant general.
Yeah, how far is it to Lviv, to Uzhgorod, like he was asking, and you said over 700 to 800 kilometers?
What struck me was that they hadn't studied Ukraine before advancing on it.